Welcome back. The city's new automotive director has made several changes in the department, saving the city almost $500,000 annually. David Alvarez has that story and others on City News. David?
Thanks, Belkis. The city of Coral Gables is making some changes the way the automotive department is doing its practices, which will save the city $465,000 annually. Some of the changes include the way the city is purchasing its fuel, resulting in $150,000 in savings. Another change is the city will conduct annual battery voltage checks and will only replace the battery if it can no longer hold a charge. This alters the old policy of changing every battery annually, whether they needed to be changed or not. Also, tire repair and purchasing policies will change, saving the city $60,000 annually. Another adjustment is the automotive department is now responsible for repairs of the Coral Gables trolley. This saves the city by avoiding an expensive contract with an outside vendor to fix the trolleys. There's no doubt that Coral Gables lives up to the name The City Beautiful, and in order to keep that name, the city is always furthering its beautification efforts. The city has turned its sights to the intersection of Lejeune Road and Ingram Highway for an aesthetic makeover. At the intersection is a small triangular paved property that holds a concrete pole. The pole, which supports the traffic signal at the intersection, has been a regular victim to graffiti, which only adds to the unpleasant look of the intersection. In the near future, public service will be taking out the asphalt of the triangle and installing an irrigation system and adding landscaping. As for the pole, climbing vines will be planted to eventually cover the pole on all sides, which will deter vandalism and beautify the busy intersection. And finally, the Coral Gables Police Department and the Coral Gables at Home group have come together to help the senior community with tips on crime prevention. The police department held a free seminar presenting the most common types of crimes against seniors, which are financial crimes, property crimes, violent crimes, and elderly abuse. Another topic covered during the seminar was the growing problem of senior identity theft. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation website, seniors are becoming the favorite target of con men because they have a nest egg, like owning their own home and having excellent credit. Also, the study shows seniors can be more trusting, which a criminal can exploit. After the presentation, the group was even given a tour of the communications center in the police department to get a look at how their emergency calls to the station are handled. The police department and the Coral Gables at Home group hope that these seminars will educate the senior community in the city to help further prevent senior crimes. For Coral Gables Now, David Alvarez. Back to you, Belkis.
All right, thanks, David. And there is still much more of Coral Gables Now to come. Up next, several Coral Gables schools are teaching better eating habits through gardening. Plus, people around the world live with poor vision, something that can be corrected with a simple pair of eyeglasses. How you, right here in Coral Gables, can give the gift of sight. And later, if you missed the Junior Orange Bowl Parade, don't worry, we will show you the best of the JOB when we come back. And welcome back. Reading, writing, and arithmetic are all part of the school day. And at some Coral Gables schools, so is gardening. Donna, Reno, leader of Slow Foods Miami, is here to explain how gardening can be a positive experience for children. Thank you so much, Donna, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Belkis.
So tell us a little bit about Slow Food.
Well, Slow Food is an international organization. You can find Slow Food in Beirut, in Cork, in Belgium, in Paris. It's all over the world. It was started in 1986 by a man named Carlo Petrini, who was against the fast food movement that was coming into Italy at the time. And so it started in Europe, but is now in the United States. They've had organization chapters, or conviviums as they're called, all over the United States for the past 10 years. And our chapter in Miami has been in existence since 2003.
And what's the goal of Slow Foods here in Miami?
Our goal is very much aligned with Slow Food USA. We want to change the way people eat, and we want to introduce people to good, clean, and fair food. And that's why we're putting gardens in schools.
So tell us how you're trying to promote the cause with these gardens in schools.
Well, an edible school garden, as Alice Waters originally conceived it, is a vegetable garden in the center of a school campus. And it is designed to introduce children to where their food comes from. And it's meant to be a place where children can learn some basic lessons of life too, like sharing and loving and being patient and helping others. And so those are some of the lessons that they learn. But they have the opportunity with the garden to learn what vegetables taste like. And many children don't know what they taste like. And so that's one lesson. The other, I think, is an opportunity to understand how food grows. And there are many nutritional lessons there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the main reason, although certainly childhood obesity in the United States is a major medical problem. But our position is put a garden in the middle of a school campus and let it happen. And teachers will incorporate the lessons from the garden into the curriculum, but it's really a fun experience. It's an interactive experience, and they get to put their hands in the soil and actually plant.
Do you find that kids, when they're exposed to this at such an early age, then they go home and then they express those views and those values then to their parents instead of the other way around?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the school as a community is a great place to start something like this, because the parents are walking their children to class every day at, for instance, Coral Gables Elementary, and they're walking past the garden. And I notice that the children stop and talk to their parents about what's growing in the garden. And I think it influences parents on what they're choosing to serve at home for dinner. I think it influences the teachers and the students, certainly the students. And parents want to encourage their children to eat well. I know they do. But they also would benefit from some of the educational things that come out of the garden.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Coral Gables Elementary as one of the places where you have a garden there. Tell me about how many gardens has Slow Food been able to plant in Miami-Dade and in Coral Gables, an estimate?
Well, this year we planted almost 26 gardens. We're planting more now at the height of our season, but we have 26 gardens, and we have them in culinary programs in high schools. We have them in elementary schools. We're going to put them in schools where there are special needs children. We're going to put them in, we have a community project in the West Grove as well, called Roots in the Grove. So we have gardens all over Dade County, and each has its own little specific and unique appearance. And
there's actually one in Coral Gables High as well.
Yes.
And they got ready to harvest, and they were going to have a feast, which is nice to see, because it's not only just growing the garden, but also seeing how they translate, you know, things that they get from the garden to the dinner plate.
Right. The tasting aspect of this garden is really important. That's the main purpose of growing the vegetables in the garden, is to have tastings and to create meals with the produce, and to basically understand how a plant, say like this tomato plant, grows, fruits, produces its fruit, and then when it should be harvested. And so there's a lot of lessons there.
So let's talk about some of the plants that you brought. Beautiful selection here. And are these very common in the gardens that you have at schools?
Yes. Every garden, every school garden has a basic chart that they follow. So we have 3 tomato plants. We like to use a variety of heirloom tomatoes, perhaps a cherry tomato, as well as other heirloom tomatoes, which are very popular now. They're kind of slow growing though. And
so that's a tomato plant?
This is a tomato plant. These are various varieties of tomatoes.
When you plant, do you plant starter plants like this, or does it go through seeds, or how do you do that?
Well, we have a balance of seeds and starts.